Good morning, Facebook. How's everybody doing? This is Earl Rush along with my play niece, Tanya Smith. I had to
Good
bring her
morning.
on. I had to bring her on because I just can't do everything anymore all the time. I'm getting old, and I wanted to bring her along. We're going to have two concepts. I will be going one-on-one with people from now on, and Tanya and I will be interviewing couples together, taking
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
Yeah, because
All right.
I'm just old. So, we, Tanya, I want to thank you so much for coming on and helping me out. For those who don't know, Tanya Smith is one of the co-producers of Mr. Mambo's, the longest running social in the DMV on Saturday nights. Okay?
Thank you for having me, Earl. I really
Yeah,
appreciate this opportunity, as always.
sure. And I can't wait to. Also, when we come back, Tanya and I and her father, we're going to have a real big party, okay? So,
Sure.
we're going to go down to Atlanta. First of all, we're going to be interviewing FuegomY Farrell and Candace Joyner of Fuego Hielo. I remember the H is silent in Spanish, so I don't say Hielo. I don't want to sound like no grammar. And also, you need to know that, well, Tanya and I both brought FuegomY and Candace to DC.
Yep.
And neither one of us are rich, so we're real funny about spending money. So
We're cheap. We're cheap.
we're cheap. If we brought them to DC, you must know they must be badasses. So we're going to try to go down to Atlanta and bring them in as soon as they sign in. Okay.
So let me ask you, Earl, what event did you bring them for?
They came to the all white party. Yeah,
Okay.
all-white party. Yeah.
Okay.
And what about you?
I bought them last year, October 5th, to the Palladium.
Uh-huh.
I had them featured at the Palladium. It was a incredible event. They presented well. People really loved them. They're not only dynamic teachers and performers, they also social dance with everybody.
They do.
They're really good people.
Yeah, a lot of these crazy performers out here, they don't like the social dance, but I understand maybe sometimes they're tired. But my thing,
Well, they have preferences sometimes. Sometimes they have preferences.
Okay, well, you and I are not performers, so it's not for us to judge.
Nope.
We're going to go straight down to Atlanta and check in with FuegomY and Candace. Okay. FuegomY. All righty. Tanya.
Yep.
Get on the phone.
I'm on my phone with you, Earl.
Where the hell happened to FuegomY?
I think they're having a little technical difficulties. They told us to hang on, so you and I need to chop it up a little bit, provide some entertainment.
Okay,
because shouldn't be hard.
I see them on the screen.
Oh, I don't. Okay.
Well, because I'm running the show.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oop.
No, I mean from the studio part. That's what I'm talking about.
I understand.
Okay. Well, they'll be on soon because they were in earlier. Give us a break. Be patient. I know you guys got a lot of things to do on Saturday afternoon. We sitting here on our little interview show, so bear with us.
Earl, why don't you tell everybody who's coming up also on Straight Up Talk with you? Who else do you have booked?
I would do that, Tanya, but it's so many people. But let me see who I can remember. We have living legends coming on. DJ Henry Knowles, DJ Jose Rodriguez.
Yeah.
We got Izzy Rodriguez from New York.
Okay.
We got Christina from New Jersey.
Okay.
And now FuegomY is back. I'm glad you guys are back because people were like, what the hell is going on? I want to hear FuegomY and Candace and Tanya and Earl are talking about it. FuegomY and Candace, thank you so much for coming in. You guys are I know you're busy. You probably got some privates to teach or something going on. I don't know what's going on in Atlanta as far as social distancing of parties and studios, but I do know you guys are busy. You got routines to practice and all that. Candace might have to go practice with some, with Stacy. Y'all are busy, so we're gonna get straight right to the interview.
Okay.
Time start it off.
Well, first, I want to welcome you both to Straight Up Talk. It's a pleasure to have you here. You guys are, or you ladies and guys are an exciting couple that has been rising very quickly. I met both of you years ago at, of course, an Earl Rush party, because Earl Rush is the maestro of the big Congress-like parties in DC. I still aspire to that level, but this is not about him or me, so I'll continue. But at any rate, I met you guys when you came up with Proyecto Barrio, I believe. 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. And then, of course, I booked you this year, or excuse me, last year. And you both, while we were having breakfast, you talked to me about your dance journey. And I learned something interesting about both of you. I learned that you, Fuegom, actually have a proficiency or professionalism, or you've learned and danced professionally as a ballet dancer. And Candace, actually her former background, her former proficiency or excellence for both of you, but for Candace was as a gymnast. One by one, can you tell me about your dance journey to salsa, mambo, and bachata?
Oh God. You want to go first?
Well, mine's not too long. I got into the genre by being into Latin boys, and I had a friend back in high school who would kind of show us the dances at house parties and stuff. And so we ended up going to the club, and I really enjoyed it. But then none of my friends wanted to keep going to the club. So I was like, I want to still dance. I love it. And so I just Googled salsa in Atlanta, and I found an event out here. And then that's kind of how I started off in the scene. And then I joined Proyecto Barrio about a year later, and then it's just gone from there. And that's it.
What year frame was that? Around what time? What year?
That was around
when you started.
2001.
Okay.
No, is that
19 years ago?
Oh, just kidding. 2011. 2011, I think.
Okay.
Around that time. Yeah.
Awesome. Fuegom?
Did you just want to answer like how we got into like the salsa industry? Because you kind of asked about our past too, and you didn't.
I did kind of want to hear about your dance trajectory. I know with you, Fuegom, you've been in dance for a long time prior to salsa mambo, and I didn't know if Candace, I referenced her gymnast background, so I kind of wanted to hear about that as well. However you want to talk about it is great for me.
Well, I started gymnastics from like a very, very young age, like around preschool. And I've always done gymnastics and something else. So it was always like gymnastics and soccer, gymnastics and, swimming or whatever. But those are kind of like, secondary recreational activities. And I did gymnastics all the way up through high school. And then I started getting to high school sports. I did cheerleading and softball and track while I was in high school. And to be honest, that's about it. I did gymnastics most of my life. I'm coaching it now. So I have competitive teams that I coach currently. So I'm doing that as well as dance. And that kind of helped, I guess, with my dance career, of just being able to move my body. It helped a lot with tricks, kind of knowing how to do handstands and different things like that.
Awesome.
And especially with strength, it helped a great deal with that as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
A very thorough answer. I enjoyed that.
Hey, hold on for a minute. Candace, I can't move around anymore, but I always wanted to learn how to do a backflip. Is it possible if I could still move, would you be able to teach me how to do a backflip?
Of course.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Fuegom. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good, brother. It's very simple. My grandmother believed that, idle hands leads to, trouble for kids. So she put me in the art very, very early, and I stayed in the arts all my life. So it was dance, theater, photography, drawing, singing, acting, everything up until there was no time to do everything. So I kind of just stayed on dance for a long time. From dance, went to martial arts and was in martial arts for 15 years, which is just another form of movement, anyways. And then back into dance again, same year as her, 2011. We started about 9 years ago. And it went from being just, I didn't do the typical route. Like most people, I think, start off as just social dancers, and then from social dancers go to performance, and then from performance to whatever they do. I went straight to like learning how, like, I went straight to classes. Like, I was like, I'm not interested in just going to a club and dancing. I want to know how to dance this for real. Um, True story. The first day I met Al in class, I said, "Hey, I want to be on your team." He said, "You have a team, right?" "I want to be on your team." He goes, "You can't even dance yet." So, but he didn't know I had a background in performing already. Like, I knew what I wanted to do. I love the music. I love the dance from what I've seen. So I went right into it knowing that I wanted to be in this industry in some capacity. So I don't think even 6 months later, he created a team specifically that I could join, his first student team or whatever he called it. And then from there, it was semi-pro team, pro team. And then Gordon came and snatched us up and started training us to perform with him. And then from that to having our own company, it's just been a big steamroll until where we are now.
Awesome. Now, just for clarification, for those in the audience who may not know these names that you're name dropping, who is Al? Who is Gordon? You don't have to make it elaborate, but let everybody know your pedigree. Who is Al? Who is Gordon in Atlanta scene and worldwide? Who are those people?
So Prieto Barrio is a local team here in Atlanta, and it's directed by Alan and Nia, Alan Jermaine, Nia Patel. And Gordon is one of the de facto names here in our industry, right? And one of those legendary names you hear about here and there. He's retired now, but you still see him poking around his head for a class in Chicago or something, or a performance with Stacy here and there. And we all actually got started at the same time, me, Candace, and Stacy at PB. I think Stacy came in like maybe a few months after we did, or maybe a year after we did. But we all met Gordon around the same time, and then he was like, "Hey, I like you guys. Let's do some stuff together." And then it went from like the four of us to him and Stacy. They were focusing on their thing, while we were focusing on our thing, and then we just took all that and ran with it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
So this is about you and Candace for sure, but I wanted to know, just what was it like to train under Gordon Neal? He's like one of my heroes in salsa. Just what was it like? I would imagine it was pretty intense.
A lot of anxiety.
A lot of anxiety for Candace. It was very intense. Because we didn't like do the traditional route. Like, we weren't in the studio. We were in his house. So it was a lot of late nights because we would be coming from like work or rehearsals or school and get to the house at like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and not leaving sometimes until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So it'd be just hours and hours of time working, and him just being like, no. Like, that was okay. Like, and just drilling, like just literally working our asses off. Hours and hours, and then sometimes it was like it might be an hour or two of training and an hour or two of like talking about stuff. Like, it's a lot of stuff on both ends. You get the conceptual stuff, like how to actually dance, the training behind it, but then he was always just a fountain of information as well. The scene and his time in it, and how we should navigate our time in it, at least so what his understanding of it was. So it's just awesome because even now I still have a relationship with him. Like the other day, we just talked on the phone for like 2 hours. And it just went from like me asking him a simple question to like this whole conversation about the scene and like the current state of America and how like this. It was just, he's always just like a wealth of information, and we still to our ability train with him today. Like our last piece, he was one of the main people we did a lot of work with on it to make sure it was up to our standards. You don't just give you a piece and then it's okay. Say, hey, we need another set of eyes on this. What can be improved upon? What do you think about it? And he's the kind of person just like he will take you and like run with you if you allow it. So he's always a great person to work with. He has so much information and knowledge.
Okay. Well, let me ask you guys both of this. You guys do various dances very well. You do cha-cha, cha, bachata, salsa, mambo. Me, I just do a little bit of mambo. I can't do all those other things very well. What would you say to both of you guys? Which dance do you guys feel that you do the best between cha-cha, bachata, salsa on one, and mambo?
As a couple or as individuals?
First individually, and then as a couple.
Well, for me, I don't know. I categorize all those different dances very. I don't know. They're all in a special category for me. So I honestly can't really answer that question because I love salsa so much. Okay, I can say that salsa on one is at the bottom,
Wow.
but as in general, I really can't separate, salsa for bachata and cha-cha because they're so different. It's just like I have a special love for each one, and that love is just like so high. Like I can bachata like all night long if I'm in the right environment. I can salsa all night long if I'm in the right environment. I can do cha-cha all night long if I'm in the right environment. So there's not going to be like one where I'm just like, I kind of want to do this more than this. Like throughout the years, I can say, cha-cha has kind of been more at the top, but then sometimes salsa comes in, and then a few months later, I'll be in a bachata mood, and I'm like, all I want to do is bachata. My current state right now, I love them all so equally. It's just I can't put one in front of the other.
I think the question though was which one do you do the best, not which one do you like the best.
Which one do I do the best?
Yes.
Yeah, which one do you perform? Which one do you dance the best, honey? Not which one you like.
Like which one do you excel at the most? You got two questions for one. You got two answers for one question. That's a good special right there.
Well, maybe she loves all of them equally. She probably feels that she dances all of them equally. So we're gonna move on.
Maybe so. Is that how you feel?
Yeah.
I would say salsa and cha-cha are slightly above bachata.
Okay.
That's
Fuegom? What about you, Fuegom? Okay. Fuegom. Wow. Okay. So
Fuegom, can you hear me? Fuegom.
So Tanya, which one do you dance the best between cha-cha-cha and salsa?
I think we know salsa. I love cha-cha-cha, but let's see, are they talking yet? I love cha-cha-cha.
Fuegom, can you hear us? Okay. Well, me myself, I prefer to dance on two. I do that pretty well. I don't dance bachata that well at all. I've taken from the best in the world, but I'm just not a bachata dancer. I guess maybe I don't feel it, Fuegom, can you hear us? Okay.
Well, I will mention about bachata. Actually, my soul has started to like traditional. And it's interesting because, but anyway, I'm starting to get into it. So I actually practice it a little bit, Earl. So when we come back, I might be in the bachata room a little bit more.
Okay. Well.
Fuegom, are you there?
Okay. Well, are you there, Fuegom? Fuegom.
He's there.
Beautiful. Can you hear us now, Fuegom? Can you hear us now, Fuegom? Wow. So I have studied under Leo Benquito, El Tigre.
They're gone.
This is crazy because we were having a really pretty good interview as well. Yikes. Fuegom, there you go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're back on.
We were just boring the public with telling us what dances we dance well on there. Like, we don't want to hear none of that. Excuse me. Boop. Get me talking. Get Fuegom back on the interview.
All right. You can turn the lavalier off the thing right out of power.
So, Fuegom, what do you think you dance the best? Cha-cha, salsa on one or on two, or are you like Candace, you dance most of them basically the same very well?
I feel like I answered the question a little differently because I'm a dancer. And I feel like what that means is that I'm going to dance anything that I like dancing well. And I go through, and I'm inspired by the music, right? So like if I'm really enjoying the music and the environment I am, that's what's going to inspire me to dance. So I've been in those kind of places where like I'm at a social at a congress and I'm in a mood to dance some bachata, but like the music is whack or the people who are around me aren't like people who inspire me to want to dance because I'm a very visual person and kinetic person, right? So if I see like a lot of just people hanging out and being cliquish or not really dancing or the dances are like mediocre, it doesn't inspire me to want to dance. I'm surrounded by great dancers and great music. I'm going to be dancing my ass off, right? And just like Candace, I think I dance all the dances, about equally. If anything, it's like, if there is a ladder, it's like cha-cha, salsa, and then bachata. Like they're real close because we enjoy the tree, right? The Latin dance family tree. Like we're not those, purists. We only dance salsa. We only dance bachata. They're all related, right? Historically, musically. So like even something like, guaracha, like having danced guaracha and bolero. Like I love those dances as well. It's just not really done out there, right? Nobody plays boleros at a social because it's slow and it will kill the mood in a lot of ideas, right? So I would love if there was like more socials out there which played a variety of music. Like if there was like some cha-chas actually played at socials, some boleros, like I would enjoy myself thoroughly, but that's just me. So
We're
I think
the type of people that like a one-room congress.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't like those, but that's great. And I'm going to skip the other. I don't want to hear no bachata unless I'm at the DC Bachata Congress. That's the only time. But I'm going to skip the other question about which you guys dance the best as a couple because I already know it's salsa. You may think otherwise. It's salsa. That's what you guys dance the best to me. Mambo on two. Tanya, what you got? You're up next, baby.
Okay. I actually just watched an interview with per Earl's recommendation with I think it was called Dialogues or Diary of Black Dancers or something to that effect. And I believe it was hosted by the St. Louis Salsa Bachata Festival. And some of the topics that were coming up made me think of you, Candace, by yourself, and also Fuegom, or you and Fuegom together. So my first question is for Candace. Because the ideal that is always presented at congresses or festivals, there's a certain type of salsa diva ideal that's kind of out there for consumption and that's considered popular. The long hair, cute slim body, that type of thing. Gorgeous in the face, thin in the waist. But again, the long hair. So I know you rock the natural. You're of a browner hue. Have you ever found your race to be an impediment to you being seen as a good dancer or as a professional dancer in any way?
Well, I can say, like, especially with the hair, that has been a long journey in itself because, going to congresses, watching different performers, it's very rare that you see anybody's hair like mine. So I know definitely in the beginning, there's some videos and pictures and I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? Please take those out because, I was trying to maintain the look of the slick hair down to the bun or the long straight ponytail and feeling, I guess, self-conscious and then worrying about, oh, I don't look the part because, I may not be as little as I see all the most advanced dancers are and my hair is definitely not working out the way I want it to be. So that alone has been self-conscious and a battle and a journey in itself to where, recently I've become completely comfortable in my natural state to where it's actually more comfortable than trying to go the other route and trying to make my hair do something that it really doesn't want to do and me being self-conscious the whole time while I'm dancing. And then it affects my dancing because, I'm always thinking about that. There was more to your question. What else was it?
Well, no, that
Okay.
you answered that. That's a good answer. That kind of tracked along what some of the other girls were talking about. So no, you answered that. I guess as a couple, as a Black couple, I know in Salsa Mambo, I can only speak of that in particular. That's my focus. Usually when I go to congresses, you don't often see Black couples, on a professional level. You see the top ones, Terry and Cecile, one of the top ones for me that I used to admire and just really gravitate to was New Tribe with Rel and Mike out of France. There's Mike Garcia and I believe Monique in New York. And, there are a couple of people. Were there any people that you look to, any icons singularly or icons as a couple that you guys look to chart a path similarly? Since you're in the minority in this kind of venue and this kind of genre, were there any idols you had, any icons you looked to, any mentors? Obviously, you had Gordon Neal, which is fantastic. I mean, he's a paragon of Black excellence that transcends. What about you guys? Who do you look up to for your journey on the professional circuit?
I mean, luckily we've had a chance to train with a lot of different people, be it, at congresses and their typical classes or like private lessons in general. But I'll say the two most influential, obviously, it will be Gordon because we spent the most time with him and still do. And then Sekou, we have a viable friendship with him. And he's always just a wealth of knowledge as well. Like, I think we took one of our first tricks privates with him way back. Like, I think Candace was still pregnant with Philippe. We did our first private with him on doing tricks.
Wow.
And so we've known him a very long time. And every time we see him, it's always like, hey, let's go get some food real quick. Let's go talk. And he's always just like downloading into us his thoughts and, what things we probably could be doing differently or better or that we're doing well. So they've been great. But as far as like having Black icons, there aren't a lot. And at this point, Candace and I are literally one of the few Black couples out there when you think about it, especially at the level that we're at, teaching and traveling. Terry and Cecile obviously are out there and they're super famous, but that's like one couple. And they're like black, right? Like it's hard to like have that difference, but counting Black versus like Afro-Latino, because it's not the same thing. It's not the same struggle, right? Because if we spoke Spanish and if we had like Spanish sounding names, our journey will most undoubtedly be a little easier for us, right?
Yeah.
Having that Dominican hair, the Elvis hair, so certain things will be easier, but it's not, right? So at this point, it's for me just those two people really. A couple other people have been influential, but like those are my main people I look up to and go to for advice personally. And I think the most we work with together too.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, I guess I know like the whole race thing has become like a big talk now, but as growing up as a dancer, I was just starstruck in general on everybody that I saw on stage that I wanted to be like. So I wasn't really, focused on that, aspect in general. I was just like, hey, I want to be able to do that. I want to look like that. I want to be able to dance like that. I want to be able to perform like that. And just kind of looking at everybody that I saw, like all the professionals that I saw, like, oh, wow, like, that's kind of what I want to do. So that's kind of been my thought process through everything.
Awesome.
I have a good story for you guys, speaking of this, because we have a very different personalities, and Candace is always like the positive side, and I'm always like the real, like, negative side of things. And so, like, coming into this, like, one of the first things I remember about my interactions with Gordon, he goes, if you really, really want to do this seriously, he said, don't use your names. Don't get on stage with FuegomY and Candace. Don't do this to yourselves. Like, like, who are these niggas getting on stage right now? Nobody want to watch no niggas on stage. So he says, give yourself some Latin names or have a Latin dance company name, and you will do yourself, because they don't know then. You start on the blank slate versus starting in the negative. He goes, it's just truth. And you think of like small things like Stacy, for instance, her Facebook name, Stacy Pauline, with that little accent mark. That's purposeful, Just being Stacy Pauline is like, who, what? Coming into this, there's already and he just tells us stories, right? And then our own stories. Like, so, it's nice that we haven't had, like, say, the most difficult time because of race. it's definitely played a factor in it, and it's shaped how I feel about the industry in general. Say, for instance, we do a lot of like Afro fusion, right? And it's like people either like really, really like it, or they're kind of like, what is this weird shit that y'all are doing like right now? I'm like, the dance, because the dance is Afro Latin, so why would we not? The song had Afro, why would we not do it? So it's like these even these subtle questions are like, why'd you do this routine that way? Like, because we wanted to. Like, why would I, as an artist, want to get on stage and look exactly like every single other person who came on stage, exact same songs, right? Doing the exact same business. Why would I want to? Yamole is great. Why copy Yamole? They have their thing. Let them do their thing. You be you, and that's how I've always wanted to be. And for me, looking at typically the people I look at the most are like Black artists, because they're the ones who are the most unashamed of being themselves and being different and creating actual art versus just doing the same motions everyone else does, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's an awesome story. So you know how I am, Fuegom. I was saying some stuff about you to Johnny Johnson. And Johnny Johnson said, you better stop messing with Fuegom. You know, Fuegom does martial arts. He will whoop your ass. So I'm like, give us the story about the martial arts thing, Fuegom.
So I used to be a troublemaker. I have a very, very bad temper and a very, very negative disposition. I'm just a grumpy old man. I've always been a grumpy old man. Like since I was a kid, I've just always been. I was a foot taller than everyone else, you know, bigger than every other kid, and I just had this very, I guess, old soul. And I was weird, right? I didn't do other things that other kids did. I had an accent, like all these things just didn't help my experience growing up here. And so I got into like a lot of fights, a lot of arguments. I was that smart ass who always wanted to talk back and like tell you how stupid you were. And so my mom was like, all right, we need to find a way to calm your ass down and to like discipline you, right? And so she literally found a martial arts school for me, which was the worst idea ever, because all she did was make me more ass whooper. Like, you know, like so going from just street fighting to like actually know how to kill somebody. And my teacher was the worst because he wasn't like Zen master and let's be peaceful and fight. Like he was like, fuck somebody up. Like they try to fuck you up first. Like, so it got worse, but in some kind of weird reversal of roles, it did kind of calm me down. And this over time, you know, I become a more patient and less what's the word, aggressive person, I guess. But yeah, no, I did martial arts for like 15 years. If I hadn't gotten into Latin dancing the way I had, I would be more than likely teaching and still traveling and doing like martial arts. I have my own martial arts studio, doing competitions that route. I've always been in the arts, and so the longest time I thought I was going to be doing martial arts, and I was studying Chinese medicine. I was thinking about opening up my own like medicine shop and you know my own studio. Like it was going to be a thing, and then I just transitioned from that to this. And
okay. Well, if Johnny told you I was talking about you behind your back, he lying.
Okay, I remember that.
I'm not trying to get no smoke from no martial artist. So you know, Johnny, he's a troublemaker. Don't pay no attention to him.
It's funny though. Everyone's always like, "Do you do like karate or something?" Like, and I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "You dance like you do karate." I'm like, "What does that mean?" I'm not sitting here attacking you, but there's like all the intricate like, and I'm like, maybe I guess. But then I look at like a lot of other guys who are like big on the scene, like Johnny, right? Johnny used to be a karate, Frankie, Leon Rose,
exactly.
These martial arts backgrounds. I was like, huh, maybe there's something. And we do a lot of weird stuff when we dance. Like our partner work is not traditional, I guess.
Right.
So I guess whatever about it, I was like, okay, I'll take it. Whatever.
Okay. Well, I'm from DC, and we used to be called Dodge City. I never got into the martial arts. I just pulled my pistol out if things get crazy. So we're gonna move on. Tanya, what you got?
Well, actually, I wanted to go back to Fuegom again. When I bought them here, Fuegom, me, and Candace, we had a lot of conversations at dinner, at breakfast, and he touched on something I'm not sure everyone knows. Fuegom actually has a very interesting upbringing. We went to a Chinese restaurant, and he was ordering in fluent Chinese. So Fuegom, talk a little bit about your background, I believe your whole background and how you came to the United States. Let the people know about that. It's very interesting.
So I'm originally born and raised in Saudi Arabia, and then I moved here when I was about 10 or so. And I've been here for most of my life, except for when I moved to China for college, studying martial arts. My teacher's teacher, my grandmaster, he's from Taiwan. And whenever he visited, he doesn't speak really any English. And I wanted to talk to him because I'm always a very thirsty student. I want information. I'm that student in class is always asking as many questions as possible because I want to actually learn in a class. And so the fact that he didn't speak in English, it irked me because I was like, how do I communicate with you? Because he's like doing gestures or like he's speaking to my teacher or the other Chinese students to translate for him. I'm like, this is some bullshit. I can't have a second party translating for me. So once I got into high school, started taking Chinese classes. And from there, I took their equivalency of like proficiency tests in the language and then another entrance exam for colleges in China. And then I literally just said, fuck America. And I moved to China for undergrad. And that's how I speak Chinese. So whenever I'm here, it's not a lot of chances to practice. But when I'm like out eating at a Chinese restaurant, it's like an actual Chinese restaurant, I get my chance to like practice there. Or like a few friends I have here who speak Chinese, or the few friends I have from back over there, I still keep in touch with. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember the server was very shocked and she was pleasantly surprised. And I remember people around us at the table were like, "What?" You know, it's just like fluent Chinese.
Restaurant, the first thing I do is I'll say, because they ask how many, and I'll say the answer in Chinese, and they'll go and look at me like I'm crazy. And I say, because in their mind, they're hearing English wrong, like they're not getting the English right, and they had to realize I'm speaking to them in Chinese. Then they're like, oh. And the whole time it's like, and it's staring at me like I'm Jesus, something like this person, right? And I'm just, but in their minds, like in China, Chinese is hard to Chinese people. Like it's a hard language to learn for them. So they can't imagine anybody speaking the language, let alone this random black guy, somewhere, whatever city we might be in. So like say in DC, just think about it. How many, black people want to walk into a Chinese restaurant and speak Chinese? It's not a common thing, right? So it blows their mind every single time. It never fails at all.
Well, it was awesome. I was like, wow. I felt like I was in the presence of like a secret spy or royalty. So that was really cool. I would like to ask you, Candace. So I got to know you better, and definitely, I was telling Earl, I was like, now, Candace, we might have to pull a little bit of teeth, from Candace, because she's a little shy, a little bit more reserved, a little bit more introverted. I'm curious, Candace, outside of obviously you've demonstrated that when you want to do something like salsa, like gymnastics, you obviously will focus in intently and you're going to always elevate your level to the highest level. I'm curious, though, what else do you like to do besides social dance? What else do you like to do?
I like being very active. So anything that involves me moving my body is going to be a pleasure for me. So like I like going outside. I like bowling. I like playing pool. I like kind of almost like the tomboy type. Like I just like being active. So like any random things, like going to like do archery or like, anything like super random, rock climbing. Like I like being active. But then again, I also like being at home and I like watching movies. I like to read. I like playing with my son. I'm very easygoing. So it's very easy to please me. So like just going out, doing random things, I enjoy. I also like being home, watching movies, playing board games. I like to play games. I like playing cards. I like playing board games. I like doing stuff like that. I like doing a lot.
So you like a variety of experiences, but maybe not talking as much. You let your actions speak for you.
I do not like to talk.
She's a sit in the background and like chime in every once in a while kind of person.
And I think that's why. Yeah, I think but I love being in conversations. I just don't like being like the main focus of the conversation. But I think that's why I enjoy dancing as much as I do, because it's a great way to communicate without me having to physically talk to the person, but we can have this relationship and interaction with each other, that goes way beyond, but then I don't have actually like make a conversation with you, but we can actually have like a relationship, even if it's just through dance. So,
wow. So, Candace, do you think? I've talked to like 6 people this week. I said, "Yeah, we're interviewing FuegomY and Candace," and I tell you no lie. 6 people said, "You ain't gonna be able to get no words out of Candace because she's very shy and introverted." I didn't think you were going to show up for the interview. Okay? I felt bad because we had been advertising all week, FuegomY and Candace, and I thought FuegomY was going to say, "Well, Candace changed her mind." My question is, you've been great on this interview. Is it because you're kind of familiar with Tanya and I? Because I don't see any introvert in you at all. So is it because you know us? Is that why you're talking more?
well, it's been a work in progress. I've been doing, we do interviews every now and then, or, I've been in front of the camera every now and then as a progressively over the years. I remember one of our first interviews we did, it was for a radio station, I think.
That
and
podcast.
Yeah, and it was live in the camera, and I had like a resting bitch face the entire time, and I was just like, oh. But it's just, I don't know. So the more I've done it, I've becoming a little bit more comfortable with it. Not saying that I'm comfortable, but it's becoming a little bit better. So I've been working on that.
Okay.
We've both been working on each other's faces for a very long time, and our personalities for a long time.
All right. So this is what I'm getting. I know a lot of people like this. Not a lot. I know a few people. I'm getting from FuegomY that, and Candace as well, whatever you do, you kind of do well. Okay? The reason why I say this, okay, it's COVID's going on. Nobody's going out dancing. Everybody's bored with talk shows. There's 800,000 talk shows. Everybody's doing a viral class. And then the most other thing is everybody's some goddamn cook. And they showing the pictures and stuff. Now, I looked on Facebook and FuegomY was actually showing you that he can cook. What the hell is that about? That shit looked good he was preparing. How did you get into that, FuegomY?
So, not to be that person, but most people, whether we know it or not, have lots of talents, right? But the way life is, because typically we're busy and we focus on our career or families or whatever else we have going on, there's not a lot of time to actually cultivate multiple talents, right? So, like, for instance, I've been writing a book for like 5 years now, and I have 20 pages out of 5 years because it's like, like, who has the time and the motivation to like sit down and actually do something that intensive, right? So I've been cooking all my life because my grandmother has always been the kind of person like to get me into the kitchen and to show me what she's doing and how she's doing it and talk to me about cooking in general. And I'm like a fat ass, so I love food. So why would I not cook, right? And I have a very sensitive palate. Like my sense of smell and my sense of taste is very extreme. And so like I have these really bad experiences a lot of times in restaurants. And I have really bad luck in restaurants too. Can't tell you, like we always have these really bad experiences in restaurants. And so like every once in a while I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna cook. And then I was like, you know what? It's all this extra time. I have this crazy camera equipment I have in my house right now. So like let's actually do a little cooking show, right? And right when I started though, it's right when like shit started going right downhill with everything with COVID and all the deaths in the country going on with black people. So I've been very sporadic about it because it's just finding the motivation amongst all this has been kind of hard, like very low key depression. Like I hate being in the house all day long and fearing for my life and fearing for my son's life and fearing about getting sick. There's just a lot of stuff going on, right? But I was like, I have all this camera equipment, I have all this knowledge and all this stuff I want to do. So, and like everything's been shrinking up. Like, all of our traveling gigs were canceled this year. All my modeling stuff has been canceled this year. So like I just had all this free time. So like I was just like, let's do some cooking. And so like last week I debuted my loaded waffles. I made some delicious bacon-filled waffles.
Wow.
And so like I just do these random things, and sometimes it's like really simple. Like I did one time. I did peaches and cream French toast. So it was like mascarpone cheese with French toast and peach compote on top. Sometimes it'd be really elaborate. Like one time, I think the first episode I did a full dinner. Like I think I did something like ribs and green beans and something else alongside with it, and that took forever because I'm filming it all by myself and I'm cooking it all by myself, and then I edit it all by myself too. So it's very time intensive. That's the reason why it takes so long for me to get a video out, because like filming it can sometimes take like hours, let alone the editing process, right? So, but no, it's just something else to do, something to fill some time up, and it's a fun outlet.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So, Candace, I was on Facebook one day and I saw you and Stacy do a routine. I called them all my black friends. I said, look at these two black ladies rolling. And you get the stereotype, because even my black friends are silly. Damn, I didn't even know black people could dance like that. Black people dance salsa. It was a fabulous routine. And I want to know, what is it like dancing with the fabulous Stacy?
It's a pleasure and an honor. I look up to Stacy a lot, and she's a wealth of knowledge as well. So just going into the studio and being able to train with her and just listen to, everything she has to say is just really nice. And I love it. She has a great personality. But she works hard. She's like very hard worker. And so like when we go into the studio, it's like we get in, it's like, hey, how you doing? And then it's like straight to the grind. That we're in there until it's time to go. So it's just been a really good experience. And so yeah.
Okay. Tanya, what you got, mommy?
So now I want to go to social dancing. So you both have elevated to a pro level. I remember in particular Fuegom before he was a pro, and definitely I can attest from dancing with Fuegom now. I'm like, oh my God, I really can't even believe how quickly you elevated yourself. I mean, I remember that first time I met you, and me and Luz were, talking about your dance, and we were like, he has a lot of potential, but he needs to smooth out this, but he has a lot of potential. And then you came back a year later to Earl's party. I was like, oh my God, he jumped like 200%. And then I remember you came back, I think the following year, to the DC Congress, and I was like, what is it? What in the world? I couldn't believe it. So I say that to say, and I'm sure Candace, has done a similar journey in terms of just up in her game, all the time and quickly. So my question is, what dance scene, and I'm talking geographically, pleases you the most to social dancing? Forget all the pro stuff. I perform here, I do that, I get my gigs here. New York, DC, Atlanta, Florida. I don't know if you've done the LA scene. I don't know if you guys have done the European scene or Asian scene. Is there a dance scene that personally really gets your blood, just revving high to social dance? Like it hits all of your senses, your creative senses, your technical chops, the way that people look, because let's be honest, pretty people, sometimes it helps. What social scene, it helps. I mean, what social scene gets you both, singularly going?
For me, it's probably Chicago.
But the scene as a whole or the Congress is different?
The scenes.
Well, for me, it's Chicago. There's not, so a lot of the places that we travel to are not necessarily just in a random weekend. So I'm not going to just really speak on the scenes in general. Like I have to speak on the places that I've been, where I've danced. And I love a lot of places. I don't want to diss anybody, but I feel like Chicago is one of the main places where I can go and I can get my hardcore salsa in, and I can go and I can get my hardcore bachata in. And I enjoy myself a lot when I'm there. Like I can go and spend like the night in the bachata room, and then I can go and spend the night in the salsa room. And it's really hard to like figure out where I'm going to go and where I'm going to separate while I'm there. So that's, as a whole, that's probably on the top of my list as far as dancing.
Awesome. I love Chicago Congress. I went 2 or 3 times. It's a fabulous Congress. I love that Congress. It's just too cold for me.
It is cold. I think he's breaking up for Earl too because his face. Tanya, you're breaking up a bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Tanya?
Hello? I think we lost her.
Okay.
You're frozen video wise and you're coming in and out on the audio, Tanya, if you can hear us.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, FuegomY, what is your favorite social dance scene?
I think for me, it's going to be Florida as a whole. I feel like Florida just has, for me, way more follows who are in general better trained for social dancing. So it's nice to be able to just find like dozens and dozens of women that can like actually dance at a congress, right? And Florida has all these congresses, all these socials, and we've traveled to a good fair few of them. And I think DC might be like right behind it.
Wow.
DC for me though was like the music though. At least like it's changed over the years, right? Like, Jose's not spinning anymore, but you still got like Hercules, still got all these big names, and the congresses there are always great too. And the vibe is really good in DC. So I've always enjoyed like the feeling in like DC's socials or congresses and the music. And for me, like the social dances in Florida are just bomb. Like salsa, bachata, like going back and thinking about like, for instance, I used to be really cool with Denise back in the day when she lived in Florida, back before she went to New York, back before she met Ernesto, right? Like, so that's just a prime example. Like she was dope before she even became Denise, right? And then so follows in Florida, and I'm always like, oh my God, I'm going to Florida, I get to dance with these people. And I will haul like 40 different women all night long as much as I can because I know, and then they'll show me to some other people. I'm like, who? How? Where are these people coming from? Like, how? So Florida's always great for me.
Florida's kind of top of my list too. Florida's good.
Tanya, what's your sound sounding like? What's up?
I can hear you all, and sorry about that. My apologies.
We can hear you too.
Okay.
But I heard Florida and Chicago, so check. Got it.
Hit your next question, and then we'll get back to me. But let's get you while your mic's still working.
I think it's actually my internet, but at any rate, my next question, and you don't have to go deep on it. I'm just curious, where do you see the Latin dance scene go next after COVID?
I think it's going to be like a surge, a big boom, because I think everybody's been, antsy being at home. And, I just think once we're able to go back full force, everybody's just going to be like bulldozing through between, the performers and social dancers and new dancers as well. Like people being stuck in the house, like, okay, it's time to get out. What activity am I going to do? What hobby am I going to get into? I think I'm going to get into dance. And then, I think it's going to be like a big surplus.
Like New Year's Day on crack. Like those New Year's resolutions, like, oh my God, I've been stuck in the house for 6, 7, 8 months. I'm about to dance. I feel like for me, I think it's going to be a great reset. There's going to be a lot of like really bullshit dancers and, performers and instructors who are going to be out of work so long that they can't come back. So thank God on that. A lot of bullshit will be taken out of the scene. And a lot of events, even though there'll be more like attention to events, they'll be smaller for a while. And it'll be a good thing because events can focus on quality over quantity. Which is funny because Gordon said this to me like literally 4 or 5 years ago. He goes, I think the next big thing for events is they're going to be focusing on micro events. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I feel like micro events would be a big thing. Like, no more than 300-400 people, 10, 15 quality artists, and just be in there getting it all weekend long. And I feel like COVID's going to do that because there's so so many businesses are going out of business right now, event venues in general. Even like all these big corporations are going out of business, right? Or they're losing their properties. So there won't be as many event spaces in the first place to have, 5 major events in the same city.
I agree.
so many people can't afford their studios anymore or their teams anymore, so they can't like afford to be at these congresses in the first place for a while. So it'll be a great reset to a lot of people be focusing back on like, you know, how can I maintain the quality without having this huge blown out events, you know? Which I always prefer smaller events anyways. Like one of our favorite events is Nick's Motion in Vermont. And I mean, they don't have more than like 300 people, 400 people in that entire event throughout the weekend. But the attention to detail they have and the fact that, you know, the salsa room is only maybe about 5,000 square feet. You're packed in there and you get to actually run out of the room and meet people and like interact and have real connections with somebody. You know, it's a very different feeling versus like, there's 10,000 people in this hotel right now. I don't know who the fuck I'm dancing with. I don't know where I'm going right now. There's literally 7 different classes going at the same time. Like, how do I choose a class out of 7 different blocks of classes? You know, like, so for me, that's never been fun. And even as an artist too, like, you know, when I'm in the same block of classes as like Yamole, Tropical Jam, Georgette, why is anybody gonna come to my class and they all know who people are, definitely, and then like we're in room F somewhere down here at the bottom of the screen, like for the dancers or the artists, right? When you have a smaller event, you can focus on the artists you have there, better treatment of them, better exposure for them, you know. So I think it'll be better in general that it's gonna get smaller. But I definitely think people will be hungrier again. So maybe hopefully people get back into classes again. I feel like how you mentioned earlier, our growth social dancing wise, it's not a secret how we work hard. And I feel like that's the biggest difference between us and a lot of other artists. That's once a lot of artists get here, they're like, we're good. We've gotten our names in a certain place. We're getting our paper. We are known for a certain thing. We ain't got to do anything anymore. And I feel like it's the exact opposite. There's always been somebody who's going to be younger and hungrier and more talented than you. Yeah. That's life. There's always a bigger fish. Yeah.
Okay. Tanya, can you hear me?
I can, Earl. I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
I hope it's not my internet.
Yeah. I'm here, Earl.
Okay. I agree with what they both said.
I do too. I do too.
I think there'll be smaller events for sure. Well, we had a pretty good time, except for a couple of the wow. Can you
technical questions? I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Shit. I'm so embarrassed. I hate when this
Don't be embarrassed. I mean,
it hasn't happened a lot. I hope it's not my raggedy internet.
I don't know.
But I never got blotted out yet. I think that definitely they're going to be smaller, except for DCBX. I think the DCBX and Stuck with Sauce parties will be even bigger. And I think when Mr. Mambo comes back, it's going to be crazy as well. But
I think so
overall, I think that event
there's going to be a contraction. There's going to be a contraction in the industry. So,
yeah, definitely for sure. Hopefully, we can get them back and we can wrap this up. I mean, we got some good stuff in while the mics were working, but
definitely, they're a very interesting couple, dynamic, definitely about their business, and they're going to do big things. They're doing big things.
We switched them up because I don't know what's going on with my setup over here.
Don't worry about it. We were getting ready. We're getting ready to wrap it up anyway. We were talking about that we agree with you guys on the events being smaller, except for DCBX, the Stuck on Salsa, and Tanya's events. But in
Mr.
general,
Mambo.
Yeah, Mr. Mambo. So let me ask you this, FuegomY and Candace. Were you guys in the scene when the first Flavor Invasion was out? Were you in the scene then?
Not at all.
We came in when Gordon decided to do it the first time with Alan Nia, those last 2 flavors. That's when we came in.
Okay.
So we were unfortunately not around for the first flavor.
Let me tell you something.
I wasn't even thinking about dance.
Not the first one. The first one was off the chain, but the second one, when they had, when Gordon said they think the events are going to be macro, that event was the best event Atlanta ever had, ever, except for Chilla's Salsa Congress back in 2006. Chilla's Congress and Gordon's Second Flavor Invasion. Totally.
2006, I was a school.
Well,
So I'll show you where I was.
Right. Look, on behalf of Tanya Smith and myself, guys, we're going to wrap this up because I don't want any more glitches on the interview because you know people are talking about me right now. Earl's interview was raggedy, too much technical difficulty because they want to see me fail because I talk too much trash. So we're going to get out of here right now while we can. Fuegom.
I want to thank you both. It was a pleasure to interview you, to get your thoughts on the dance, to find out more about you guys. I think a lot of people are going to find this interesting, and I know Earl and I are both looking forward to bringing you back to DC soon.
Yes, for
Thank
sure.
you guys for thinking of us.
And I've been working on my kitchen. It's really nice right now. So Fuegom, when you come into town, I mean, we're gonna get you a hotel room. I'm gonna try to make you stay with me, but
me too. I'm gonna get you a hotel room the next time. No more in my house. Hotel room.
So
Okay.
We're fine.
We were fine.
even though we got a hotel room, Fuegom, you got to come over my house and cook me some shit. I mean, that shit look good. You be cooking.
We can do
So
some cooking.
I'm gonna
We
be
can do
over
some
my
cooking.
house. You gonna cook Candace, Tanya, and myself dinner when you come, guys.
Was it last Thanksgiving? I actually cooked an entire Thanksgiving meal, like except for a couple dishes that Candace did for all of our friends. So like,
Wow.
It would be the first time. Like I love cooking when I feel like cooking. There's no problem behind it at all. So let's make it happen.
I have one more question for you, Candace, and then we got to wrap it up. Have you ever danced with an old man as old as me? Do you know any old man that dances as good as I do as far as salsa?
Of course not. By far the best.
Great answer.
That's the best answer.
Great answer.
Candace, Fuegom, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I know you're busy.
Thank you.
So much for taking time out of your day. Thank you so much. I hope you guys both have a blessed and productive day. Tanya,
Take care and stay safe, guys.
Thanks for
Tanya,
having us,
You
guys.
guys too.
you're getting a little too good, Tanya. You might be taking my job and having your own show. We got to talk when this is over. All right, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.